Hi, friends. We're back in our series of attitudes for being a happy human being, and today we're talking about being respectful to everyone. It's pretty simple. Video over, right? Okay, so I should probably say a little bit more about that. So the idea is just basically, whenever you encounter your fellow human beings, be respectful, be polite, be considerate to them. Now, we get a lot of information from our society that that's not actually the way to be, that you should interact with people in a manner that's sort of commensurate to what they're given to you, right? So if somebody's being rude to you, then you should be rude back to them. It's often portrayed as, it's sort of weak. If somebody's being a right dick, then you should be a right dick back. Otherwise, you're getting pushed around or whatnot. And I think that logic is flipped perfectly on its head. Because if you're a human being who doesn't want to be a right dick, if you're a human being who wants to be kind, considerate, respectful, and you let someone push you out of that, and by their behavior determine your behavior, that's getting pushed around. Right? Sticking to your guns and saying, you know what? That's not how I am. That's not who I am. I'm going to be polite and respectful no matter what you do to me. That's the position of strength. That's the position of integrity. That's you deciding who you are and sticking with it come hell or high water. And that's what this is all really about, is eliminating the contingency of how we engage with our fellow human beings. So we decide in advance, this is what I want to be my mode of operation. This is how I want to interact with my fellow human beings. And it doesn't actually matter what they do, right? Because I have the resources and the inner strength to stick to what I want to be, who I want to be, and how I want to be, regardless of the situation. So when you do that, you also get rid of a lot of overhead, because you don't have to go around assessing other human beings all the time and figuring out, what's the way to interact with them that's appropriate to this situation. You already know exactly how you're going to interact with them. You're going to be respectful, polite, and considerate. Boom, it's done. You don't have to think about that ever again. You know exactly who you are and how you're going to be. Easy peasy, right? Not easy peasy, generally. This is not the lemon squeeziest of courses to follow. It takes a lot of practice and diligence and care in order to build the skills cognitively that are going to allow you to actually enact this sort of plan. And it's kind of cool because it gives you a baseline. Because if you go into a situation with just your standard assumption of, this is how I'm going to be. I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to be polite. I'm going to be considerate. And that doesn't happen, which is going to happen sometimes, then you know something went awry. You know that I need to do a post-mortem here. I need to figure out how I got off my path and got down in the muck with somebody living some sort of unpleasant experience. And so that can give you just this really sharp contrast. It's really easy to tell the situations where you need to dial in a little bit more, do some introspection and figure out what happened here. So it's kind of nice. It reduces the overhead of your interactions with your fellow human beings because you already know what it is that you're setting out to do, and then it gives you a very clear focus on what situations you need to analyze more deeply to understand where you went off the rails, what went awry. And it is very aspirational. It's not something you're going to get right the first time straight off the bat. It's not something that you're going to get, right consistently for some time after you set the intention to behave in this way. But it's something that ultimately will take care of you, because to a great extent, because everybody is living in this cultural milieu where you are supposed to respond to people in some manner that's commensurate with how they're behaving towards you. If you are respectful, polite, considerate to people as your default mode, that's going to get reflected back to you very often. So most people that you interact with, if you are respectful, polite, considerate, what are they going to do? They're going to turn around and be respectful, polite, considerate. That's a lot nicer dynamic to have as the majority of your interactions than a less pleasant, being a dick and then getting people being a dick right back to you. And in the rare instances where somebody just cannot be swayed from their course of being a right jerk, it's fine. Ultimately, at the end of that interaction, there's no ambiguity. There's no cause for concern. You don't have to wonder, man, was it me? Was it them? Was it who brought that into play? Because if you were successful in staying your course and being respectful, polite, considerate, and somebody's really rude to you, ultimately you know, hey, at the very least, I brought the best that I could to that situation. I didn't let them push me off my course. I demonstrated my resolve and my inner strength. And I can come away from that interaction with my head held high. And, you know, hopefully that interaction will cause them to reevaluate how they want to be in the world. Don't hold your breath for that, but sometimes it does happen. So that's a first step attitude towards how to interact with people. It's part of an aspirational sequence, right? So we can start with, let's respect everyone, and then we can maybe move to, let's be kind to everyone, and hey, maybe we can even get to, let's love everyone, even, especially the people who are difficult to respect, be kind to, or love. Those are the people who generally need it the most. If I can be permitted a little bit of a rant. In my experience, people don't generally tend to be unpleasant because they're happy, because they're having a good life experience. Generally, when somebody's being unpleasant to you, you're getting a spillover of their internal unpleasantness, right? They're living full-time what they inflict on you part-time. So, you know, when I used to work in a customer service environment, I was always very chipper, sometimes to the annoyance of my coworkers. But I'd get asked a lot, like, dude, how can you just be so chill with that guy being such a dick to you? And it's like, that guy, I mean, that's 30 seconds of my life. He's going to go home and live with that for the rest of his life. He's that person, right? He's a tiny window, a tiny fraction of my day, and he's all of his day. So that's something that I can be really compassionate about because, man, if I was living that, that would be unpleasant. And I only have to live it for 30 seconds. It's fine. And I just hang on to what I mean to bring to that situation and don't let them push me off my path. And 30 seconds is up. They're off to some other corner of the universe that doesn't include me. And I get to go back to being the same old happy human being that I was. So that's my case for respecting everyone. Ultimately, it removes that contingency. Wow. For a moment, it just seemed like I'd never heard that word before. But that is the right word. It removes the contingency from your interaction with your fellow human beings. It lets you just decide what takes care of you and enact that plan. It provides a nice sort of focus on which situations went awry for you, because you know right off the bat, was I respectful, was I polite, was I considerate? And if the answer is no, this is something that needs a little bit more investigation. And ultimately, it's going to get a lot more positive experiences reflected back to you from all the folks that you encounter in the world. So give it a go.